Hey everyone, and welcome back. This is episode 4 of Riding Backwards podcast. My name is Jason Klink, your host. And the Riding Backwards podcast is about a different point of view when it comes to public safety, and in particular the fire service. My stories, my experiences, my opinions, all are wrapped up into this podcast. So if you like what you hear, please like, comment, share. Love to get some feedback on how the podcast is going. And I've gotten some great feedback over the last few episodes, being, the first maiden voyage of this podcast. But today, I wanted to talk about is an idea that was given to me, and it kind of sparked a thought that I had. I have a saying that I've used in the firehouse and in some of the public safety agencies I've worked with that until you're here longer than a cup of coffee or two, your opinion of certain things may be better reserved than voicing that opinion to those that have walked a couple of miles in the similar shoes. So, what do I mean by that? One of the other sayings that we used to have, especially when I worked in 911, is somebody that had been working for the center for 2 or 3 years, but you think they'd been there 20 or 30 just because of 2 or 3 years of experience. And all of a sudden they were a seasoned veteran, or as we say in the firehouse, a salty dog. And one of my brother firefighters that I had started in the fire service a million years ago had brought up the similar concept of, you got guys and even the gals walking around the firehouse that they've really put a lot of hours in. They've done all their training. Maybe they've gone to a few fires, but really they've only been around a short period of time. Nothing escapes, especially in this industry, nothing really sets aside experience and getting the reps in and the muscle memory. Just because you've handled 3 or 4 incidents, 3 or 4 fires, does not make you that salty dog or experienced firefighter. You have a lot more to learn. And I don't mean to come from a point of high above and almighty, but there's some truth to that. And I think that the veteran firefighters, veteran public safety professionals that are out there will tend to agree with that. That really you need to get more reps in before you can walk around thinking that you don't need any more training and you don't need any more experience. And I come from a place where I grew up in the firehouse that I was ultimately fire chief in. And my first few years in the department, you would have thought that I had been there 30. And I thought I knew it all. And I've told the story both in the book that I wrote and in a lot of other content that I've done that, a few years in the volunteer firehouse, and then I was hired by a career department working for the Department of Defense at a military installation and found out how much I didn't know. For years, I had a mentor, a close friend, a brother that I grew up with in the fire station that would constantly encourage me to go take classes, go take firefighter 1, go take firefighter 2, start, educating yourself. And because I grew up there, I don't need all that training. I get all the training that I need right here. And then I started working at the military fire departments and found out how much I didn't know. One of the stories I love to tell is, I didn't feel it necessary to learn ropes and knots. And then I started working at a military fire department, and I had a lieutenant that found out how much I had an adverse opinion of ropes and knots. And this lieutenant rode me for months to the point where I had to walk around with a, 3 or 4 foot piece of rope and tying knots every single shift. And if he walked up to me or another company officer walked up to me and asked me to tie a knot, I best know how to tie it or the time would be extended until I knew how to tie it. Needless to say, I got very, very good at ropes and knots. And this was my first real lesson in humility in the fire service, humility in public safety, learning to listen more, pay attention more, and keep my mouth shut. Um, Unfortunately, it probably took another 15 years before I really grasped onto the concept of keeping my mouth shut, listening more, and then forming an opinion from there. We live in a very connected society now. We have a very different generation, not only of firefighters, but of public safety personnel. We have an ability to learn anything. We have education at our fingertips anytime we want to turn on YouTube. There's good and bad to that. You can learn a lot on YouTube, but until you get the practical skills challenged or getting those reps in, you just don't complete the circle when it comes to the training and education that goes into this job. Getting the skill set, gaining the skill set, getting the reps in is the only way to prevent anyone, including yourself, from getting hurt or worse. And that really is the main point. It's not about busting the chops of the younger generation of firefighters or public safety personnel. It's the importance of making sure that you have the skill set to be as safe as possible, because it's the fire chief's worst day, the fire chief's nightmare, when a firefighter is hurt or killed on the fire ground, and it's due to lack of training and lack of preparation. That's why I came up with, hey, you need to be here a little longer than coffee before you start forming the opinions of how the department should be run. And there's a growth period. There's a gain period in the firehouse. But I wanted to talk about that today because it was brought up to me just yesterday by one of my brother firefighters.